I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. Meet the newest men serving the Diocese of Brooklyn. We'll take you to this weekend's deacon ordination.
It's been a long journey. It's been difficult, but with God's grace, I'm here and I'm very joyful.
Plus, making a joyful noise. The Pope's choir comes to the U.S., and we'll have a preview.
Rome as a city to be open to the world. Therefore, when we sing, we actually sing for the entire world.
And these young people are not trying to become pop stars, but they all want to make the cut.
It was very important for us to be able to lead our young people to success skills and leadership skills.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So when you think of a vocation, what immediately comes to mind? Well, when it comes to the Catholic Church, you probably think of priests, religious brothers, or sisters. But did you know that there are other vocations that are just as essential to the life of the Church, but are oftentimes overlooked? Take deacons, for example. What would the Church be without these men who preach, teach, and proclaim the gospel during Mass? Deacons are ordained men from literally all walks of life, some married, some are not. And in their service as deacons, they assist the Church in their own unique ways. There are nearly 200 deacons to be found throughout Brooklyn and Queens, and this past Saturday, at an ordination ceremony celebrated by Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio at Our Lady of Angels Church in Bay Ridge, the Diocese of Brooklyn welcomed 27 brand new deacons into the fold.
Let those to be ordained deacons please come forward. Charles R. Hurley.
Present.
Jeremiah William Schwartz.
Present.
Today we've come here to ordain permanent deacons. We have 26 men from Brooklyn and Queens who will be ordained to the diaconate, most of whom are married. There's, I think, 3 that are celibate. These are men that will be permanently deacons, will not be ordained priests. They're for the service of the parishes. It was because the apostles had to preach the word that they needed other men to serve the community. A deacon is one of the stages of the Sacrament of Holy Orders. The Sacrament of Holy Orders has 3 parts, really: diaconate, priesthood, and episcopacy. The deacons are able to administer certain sacraments: baptism, matrimony. They also assist at the altar, proclaim the gospel, can preach, can assist at marriages also. In your diaconal ministry, you too will nourish God's people with His word. You also will perform minor miracles, miracles of faith, because you are close to God's people and perhaps will reach them where the priests may not. There's no conflict exactly in the roles. The deacons are to help the priest, help the bishop in different things I would assign them to. But in general, I think in our diocese we have a good relationship between priests and deacons. We've had a first diaconate priesthood convocation last fall. So we're developing a better relationship, I think. Do you resolve to be consecrated for the Church's ministry by the laying on of hands and by the gift of the Holy Spirit?
I do.
There's a couple of principal actions in the ordination ceremony. There is the laying on of hands, where we invoke the Holy Spirit. There is the prostration, during which we sing the Litany of the Saints, basically showing their own unworthiness and asking the intercession of the saints that they can be worthy for this office that they're undertaking. That we hand down the gospel to the deacons, the book of the gospel, so that they are entrusted to preach the gospel and proclaim it. They're also invested with the dalmatic, which is the vestment that is appropriate for the deacon.
I feel like I'm floating on air right now. It's been a long journey. It's been difficult, but with God's grace, I'm here and I'm very joyful.
My wife and I are very, very active in the parish as well, and so are my children, so we'll have to balance it like we always do, probably at church.
I felt that it was kind of, I could say the Spirit also touched me.
I think it's very much of an affirmation of the people's love for the church, their willingness to serve. I interviewed each deacon and his wife, those who are married, before ordination, and I'm very satisfied with their attitude and with their willingness to serve. So I am very satisfied and very happy, and I think it is a sign of the vibrancy of the church.
And congratulations to all. Well, there is much more currents ahead. The European Union's smallest state makes a big step toward making divorce legal. We'll have that story, plus the rest of the day's headlines, next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up in just a bit, you know, the American Idol season may be over, but a group of young people face off in a competition closer to home. But first, let's have a look at today's headlines. Well, just a week after a deadly twister leveled their church building, parishioners at St. Mary's Parish in Joplin, Missouri, joined fellow Catholics in worship at neighboring St. Peter's Church this past Sunday. Bishop James Johnston of the Diocese of Springfield, Cape Girardeau, celebrated the Mass. Among those joining him was Father Justin Monahan, pastor of St. Mary's. The tornado destroyed the church, the school, and its rectory buildings. But Father Justin survived by hiding in a bathtub. His parishioners dug him out from the rubble after the storm. Meanwhile, Father Jay Friedel, the pastor at St. Peter's, welcomed parishioners from St. Mary's. In his homily, he told them that St. Peter's was their home for as long as they want or need it. Well, with the death toll from the tornado now at 132, students and families gathered outside of what remains of Joplin High School and held a memorial service on Memorial Day. Morgan Shutters has the story.
Katie Wood graduated from Joplin High School just an hour before the tornado hit.
Even looking at it, it's still really hard to believe it.
Now she's singing the national anthem at a memorial service for her classmates and the community.
It's hard singing it right in front of a school that just blew away.
But sophomore Chancey McGowan still has the rest of her high school career ahead of her as she looks at what is left in shambles.
Undescribable. It's horrible. It's just devastating to see like all the destruction of my school, my home.
McGowan is one of many students who lost both.
It was heartbreaking. My whole neighborhood's gone, but everyone's okay.
It was a somber afternoon as they gathered outside the school, a moment of silence honoring military and tornado victims. 8 people in the Joplin R8 school district are confirmed dead, 7 students and 1 staff member.
I'm wondering who's still alive and who's not.
Superintendent Dr. C.J. Huff says last Friday when he got word, his world stopped. Sorrow for the lost and relief for the living.
As a result of your diligence and unwavering fortitude in the face of insurmountable challenges, 100% of our family are accounted for.
Summer classes will begin as scheduled in less than 3 weeks on June 13th.
Well, that is Morgan Shutters reporting. Well, it may have taken 22 years, but a Spanish judge has charged 20 Salvadoran soldiers with killing 6 Jesuit priests during El Salvador's civil war in 1989. The website UCA News reporting that the case was filed using Spain's universal jurisdiction law, which allows crimes of an extremely grave nature to be tried anywhere. 2 former defense attorneys are among those indicted. Well, meanwhile, in Mexico, the Archbishop of Tijuana has confirmed that a priest who was kidnapped last week has been killed. According to the Vatican news agency Fides, an unidentified body was discovered last week. A DNA test confirmed it was the missing priest. A church official said it was not clear why the priest had been kidnapped. And Fides reporting that this weekend was a momentous one for some 243 people in one Chinese diocese who entered the Catholic Church over the weekend. It happened this past Saturday at the cathedral in Tianjin. The cathedral uses modern technology and mass media to promote the Catholic faith, which reportedly helped attract the new converts. Well, in a historic vote, the citizens of the predominantly Roman Catholic island nation of Malta voted in favor of legalizing divorce. This weekend's vote leaves only 2 majority Catholic states in the world with no divorce laws, the Philippines and Vatican City itself. Maltese Archbishop Paul Cremona warned in a letter that divorce could lead to the destruction of family values. Meanwhile, Malta's Prime Minister, who was against the measure, said the will of the majority will be respected. Well, from Russia, a country with one of the world's highest abortion rates, the Orthodox Church is supporting legislation that would place restrictions on abortion. The proposal would ban free abortions at government-run clinics and ban the sale of the morning after pill without a prescription. Married women who would need the permission of their husbands to have abortions, and teenagers would need their parents' permission. The legislation is aimed at combating Russia's low fertility rate. According to Russia's health ministry, there were 74 abortions for every 100 births in 2009. Well, from the Vatican, plans for this World Youth Day kicked into high gear. Rome Reports now has news on a special Mass for those who have a calling.
One of the many highlights of World Youth Day is a Mass which will be celebrated by the Holy Father himself on August 21st in Madrid. Seminarians, or those who think they may have a calling to the priesthood, can attend this Mass, but first they must be accredited. First, one needs a username and password, which can be requested by sending an email to seminaristas@jmj2011madrid.com. Then, to start off the request, one can visit the website acreditacionseminaristas.org. After filling out the form, a scanned color passport size photo should be uploaded. The application is in English, Spanish, Italian, and French. The deadline is June 30th, 2011.
And English-speaking pilgrims at World Youth Day will have a home away from home at this year's gathering in Madrid. The Knights of Columbus and the Sisters of Life have teamed up to host the Love and Life Center, which will hold concerts, prayers, movie screenings, and much more. The center will be located inside Madrid's Palacio de Deportes, which normally hosts large-scale events. Well, stay with us. There is much more currents ahead.
Coming up, the Pope's Choir is getting ready to tour the U.S. for the first time ever. We'll talk to their director.
We prepared two different repertoires for the concerts of the entire tour, because we are going to have concerts in theaters and in beautiful cathedrals.
Welcome back. Well, if you know anything about Pope Benedict XVI, you probably know he's quite the patron of fine music. In fact, the pontiff signed a deal with Geffen Records back in 2009 and released Alma Mater, his debut album. The record featured prayers actually recited and sung by the Pope himself. Well, given such discriminating taste, you can bet the Pope's Diocese in Rome boasts some of the best music in the world. Monsignor Marco Farisna founded the Pope's Choir back in 1984, and the 47-member-strong ensemble has been making beautiful music ever since. And now, for the first time ever, the choir is making its way to the United States with a much-anticipated stop in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Well, I had the chance to speak with Monsignor Farisna last week to learn more about the group and its upcoming 6-stop tour. Monsignor, thanks for being here so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And Daniela as well, I also need to tell our viewers, will be translating for us today. So we appreciate you being here as well.
Absolutely.
Bridging the language gap. I appreciate it very much. Monsignor, first of all, tell our viewers a little about the Pope's Choir, a little about its history.
Il coro della Diocesi di Roma.
The choir of the Pope's Diocese was established in 1984, and I created this choir specifically to gather the singers from all over Rome for the major Mass celebration and solemn celebration in Rome. Today, more than 250 singers coming from all over the parishes in Rome gather to create the choir. Our diocese is a very special one, as the bishop of this diocese is the Pope himself. So I think we are the only one in the world with this specific connotation. Therefore, most of our celebrations are with the Pope, such as the one of the beatification ceremony for the late John Paul II. To us, there is much more expectation than be singing just for the Diocese of Rome. We look at the world actually from our unique position, and this is the vocation also of Rome as a city, to be open to the world. Therefore, when we sing, we actually sing for the entire world.
Well, and now, of course, the choir is coming to the United States for the first time, I believe. Yes. Tell us a little bit about
how that came about, how the idea, the plans came about for this United States visit.
It was quite an interesting story. We were doing a concert in a tiny little village in Italy, and among the attendees there was the actually initiator, the promoter of what became this tour. Is an Italian-American living in Newark, New Jersey. Therefore, the idea of coming over to America, we do a lot of those exchange among other culture, other countries. We tour often in Europe, but the idea of coming to the United States was just sparkled in that occasion.
And there will be a lot of performances in our area here, of course, particularly two in our viewing area, one in Manhattan at St. Patrick's Cathedral and then the other at Regina Pacis Church in Brooklyn. Give our viewers just a little bit of maybe an idea of what they will hear when they go to the kind of music that they'll hear when they go to the performance.
We prepared two different repertoires for the concerts of the entire tour. There are going to be some specifically for sacred music and some secular music. And this is specifically because we are going to have concerts in theaters and in beautiful cathedrals. To us in Italy is a very special year because it's the 150th anniversary of the unification of the country. So I specifically arranged for this occasion a selection of songs, Italian songs that represents well the history of Italy and the bel canto.
Mentre invece per le cattedrali, come
for the concert in the cathedrals and specifically for St. Patrick and Regina Pacis, I selected a repertoire that reminds us is an homage to John Paul II.
E quindi i nostri amici qui di Manhattan, di Brooklyn,
so that our friends in Brooklyn can feel a little bit of Rome here in their own city. We are going to start all the concerts with the pontifical hymn anthem that as an homage to the Pope that is also the bishop of the entire world.
E poi ci saranno
and then there is going to be an invocation, a prayer for the Sacred Spirit so that it can lead us into a more deep prayer and thought through the music.
Quell'amore per il Signore che serve per cantare bene. E poi appunto ci saranno.
And then there are going to be a sequence of songs that I specifically wrote, composed for the Diocese of Rome. There are going to be some songs that are in English, some in Spanish, and even in Hebrew, specifically in homage to our Jewish brothers with whom we share the Old Testament. And it will be the Shema Israel.
Wonderful. Well, it sounds like a wonderful, wonderful performance and a wonderful time for people to come and hear this wonderful choir and, of course, see you at the helm. We really thank you so much, just out of time, but thank you so much, Monsignor, Daniela as well, for coming in. We really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we are in for quite a treat. They started with 47, I think, back in 1984. 47 members, now up to 250. So 250 voices. That's a big sound, a big choir. And the choir of the Pope's Diocese will be in our area beginning this weekend. We posted some more information over on our blog. Just go to currentsny.net, click on Riding the Wave. Stay tuned. There's more Currents ahead.
When we return, picking the next generation of leaders in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
We are looking for youth who have leadership qualities, and we're trying to help build on them and show them the things that they can do.
Well, finally tonight, we began our program with the ordinations of 27 men who stepped into some important leadership roles in the Diocese of Brooklyn. Well, we conclude tonight with some young men and women who are in the running and hope to one day do the same and take on some leadership roles, be they the same or different, in the Brooklyn Diocese as well. The Vicariate of Black Catholic Concerns, that is, their Youth Ambassador and Leadership Program, takes on the task of training the diocese's next generation of leaders. But there is a catch. You know, not just anyone can make the cut. First, you need a referral. Someone from a candidate's parish has to recommend him or her for the program. And once you've jumped that hurdle, then you have to make it through the dreaded interview process. Okay, so maybe the interview process isn't quite so dreaded, and maybe this doesn't exactly rise to the level of, say, an audition for American Idol. But these young men and women are just as passionate about the chance at becoming the diocese's next top ambassador.
What makes you a leader?
I'm responsible and I can help others. To me, what a leader means is basically to be someone who's there for others and helping and showing them the right examples to what to do in life.
This is going to be our third year with the ambassador program. In a very real sense, they're ambassadors not only for their own parishes, but they're ambassadors for Christ. One of the things we did last year for Black History Month, we went to actually a nursing home, serving the meals at lunch.
Oh, well, when we first got there, it was intimidating. There's old people, wheelchairs, and then we went to the kitchen and we met the elderly that were working in the kitchen. They were cracking jokes like we were, and it was cool to see that they weren't much different from us. They were just a little bit older. The ambassador program is beneficial for anyone. Anyone who's a part of it gets like immense. Like you learn a lot of things. You get to experience things that you wouldn't experience in a normal, everyday life.
We're gonna give you the schedule, the same thing we did.
I'm really sort of excited and nervous at the same time. So I sort of have mixed emotions. I want to make sure they know that I'm a very dedicated person, that I don't like to give up.
Lucille, thanks for coming out. I'm glad you...
I have feeling that I did good because they seem to really think I would be a good candidate for the program. I'll be basically representing people of my age group, and it makes me feel proud because for people to know that people my age group could behave like this.
Whenever I start something, I always want to finish it because if I finish it, I won't have to worry about it later.
The youth that we're reaching out to are youth who are already involved in the church. Honestly, everyone who has interviewed for the program has made the program, okay? The only way they will probably not make the program is if they sit back, they give us one-word answers, and we get the feeling that this is not something they want to do, it's something that someone else wants them to do.
Because if you're able to work well with your group members, you'll be able to become much more of a leader.
I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit nervous, but then when I started the interview, I started to feel more confident and I was able to answer the questions fluently, so then I became less nervous and I just went with the flow. My parents don't force me. I just want to do it because I feel that, you know, God has a mission for me, so now I'm going to complete this mission.
The leaders of tomorrow about to become the leaders of today. Best of luck to all involved. Well, that is it for this edition of Currents. Now, coming up tomorrow, controversy over Caritas, the Catholic International Relief Organization, now under fire for what some say is a lack of Catholic identity. We'll have that story and more tomorrow night. Until then, though, be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.